Fill in the blank. Blank is only sophomore running backs, the only people eligible here. Blank is a good sleeper this season.
I'll go first.
You're gonna. There's one name that everybody's gonna say.
I'm going to say Keaton Mitchell.
That's not the name everybody's gonna say.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say Keaton Mitchell. Remarkably efficient as a rookie in an offense that produces. I mean, you're next to Lamar Jackson. Guys every year almost average 5 yards per carry next to him. He needs to get up to where he can consistently average 15 touches, maybe 10 carries to 11 carries, 3 or 4 catches per game. But with his ability to be efficient and Lamar Jackson creating rushing lanes and the way that Ravens running backs scored touchdowns last year, Mitchell has big time upside, and he'll probably be an even better sleeper because they seem to be circling on all of the veteran running backs. So maybe they sign a veteran running back. It turns out Mitchell's better and you get him at a big time discount.
How excited would you be to take Mitchell if it's Derrick Henry going to Baltimore?
I think it'd be perfect because his ADP would probably fall to around 10, and Henry's 30 years old and a prime candidate to drop off or get hurt.
All right. Mitchell's coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah.
And I thought, all right, who's your guy? Who are you going to go ahead? Who is the guy?
No, we're going to save the obvious name for the breakout because I think he is more of a breakout than a sleeper. So I'll give Kendre Miller as a sleeper running back in New Orleans. If Alvin Kamara stays, I still think Miller's got some value. I think he's got a lot more pop than Jamal Williams. Pretty much everybody in the National Football League has more pop than Jamal Williams. Not sold on Taysom Hill being back in New Orleans. And I like the profile of Kendre Miller. I just don't like the fact that he seems to be a little injury prone. Dealt with nagging injuries all season long. Not that the Saints needed him, but I think in his second season, he's got to be able to stay on the field. But if he does that, I think he's one of those perfect type of late round, middle to late round running back picks that you start with on your bench, and then hopefully by about week 4, week 5, you build the confidence to start him.
Kendre Miller. Well, let me just see where they went. Keaton Mitchell went in the 10th round to Thomas Schaefer in the draft that we just did.
Great pick, Thomas Schaefer.
Kendre Miller went in the 12th round. There's one guy who went in the middle. I'll just throw him out as I think he's very similar to Keaton Mitchell, but not coming off a torn ACL, and that's Jaleel McLaughlin.
Yep.
Sure.
And I guess I probably would prefer him to Keaton Mitchell. It's tough. It's a tough one. It depends how much faith I have.
Today you would, because he's not coming off of a torn ACL. But in August, Keaton Mitchell's back in training camp. He looks as fast as ever. Maybe it's not Derrick Henry. Maybe it's someone worse than Derrick Henry. And we just pile on the Keaton Mitchell bandwagon. There's plenty of room for everybody on the Keaton Mitchell bandwagon.
But they don't. I mean, no team threw to their running backs more than the Broncos last year. So you're hoping McLaughlin can have.
Here's the problem: is
Samaje
Perine still going to be there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, or yeah.
I don't know. I that's a big deal. It's a big.
What was that?
It was a. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, McLaughlin is obviously in that same discussion. So these are undrafted running backs from last year: Keaton Mitchell and Jaleel McLaughlin, who went very similarly in the latest draft we did, and then Kendre Miller went after him. Let me ask you this. So you said he has more pop than Jamal Williams, but I was watching some film of these guys this morning, and Kendre Miller, he's a big bruiser. Pop is not the word I'd use for him, and I wonder if he's explosive enough to be anything more than a flex, I guess.
Well, I mean, are we starting guys based on how explosive they are or based on how much work and efficiency that they can give? He's not going to be as hyper efficient as like Keaton Mitchell was, but I think he can still be certainly more, like I said, more pop than Jamal Williams. But again, I also said everybody's got more pop than Jamal Williams.
Maybe more pop than Alvin Kamara. Did you know that not a single running back on the Saints had a 20-yard carry last year? The only 2 players that had a 20-yard carry were Taysom Hill, and the only 2 players who had a 20-yard carry for the Saints were Taysom Hill and
Rashid Shaheed.
Lynn Bowden Jr. Such a weird stat.